Alrighty, welcome back. Sorry I've been a bit late. I've been enjoying my Easter long weekend and finding a lot of new news for you guys. And it's a big list today, so I'm just going to go through it real quick. Why coconut oil is beginning to become known as a miracle dental bacteria killer. Looking for an alternative to toothpaste loaded with sulfates and other toxic ingredients such as fluoride? Mainstream science has now fully recognized the miracle powers of coconut oil to not only combat tooth decay and drastically improve overall mouth health, but also to specifically crush a yeast known as Candida albicans that can lead to deadly infections. This news likely comes as nothing more than further confirmation for many, as natural health practitioners have been recommending coconut oil for years. It says here the research comes from the Athlone Institute of Technology, where island-based scientists examine the effects of natural and digested coconut oil on common strains of bacteria within the mouth. What they found was not only did the coconut oil effectively inhibit a majority of the bacteria's strains single-handedly, but it was also particularly harmful to Candida albicans. This is important when considering the fact that an excessive amount of yeast known as Candida albicans can be brought upon by a poor diet consisting of processed foods and sugars. Nice. I thought I'd start the video off with something a little bit more positive. Not that I'm trying to spread negative news, but you know, sometimes you got to see the darkness before you can appreciate the light. This one's an interesting one. Sydney Morning Herald, March 29th. Anger as number of criminals recruited to New South Wales police increases. New South Wales police recruited criminals who had notched up 414 convictions before they entered the force, including 40 cases of stealing, 20 cases of breaking and entering and stealing, more than 100 drink driving offences, plus fraud and dishonesty. Figures obtained under Freedom of Information laws reveal that 595 offences were committed by 437 police officers, or about 1 in 40 police still on active duty. Of those offences, 70% were committed before they were employed as police officers. And everyone wonders why we got a crap police force, or the world, because they're hiring criminals. Straight up. Got this guy on Before It's News. It says Yellowstone volcano will be nuked. World War III. Illuminati symbolism. I watched the video. Interesting. An investigative look into the Yellowstone volcano and how it is set to be nuked to begin Armageddon. We certainly are on the threshold. It's not going to take much to push nations over the edge. Some are in imminent danger. Have you gotten your protections? The only sure one is God himself. Watch it. It's not very long. It's only 8 minutes. Very interesting the way he puts it across. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if they nuked it. It looks like it's going to blow anyways, but you know, you don't have to take that as belief. That's just some guy's opinion. It's very interesting though. Have a look. Why'd Obama pull tanks from Germany to place on US soil? Before It's News reported Thursday, April the 17th, why has Barack Obama pulled all US tanks out of the country of Germany and returned them to US soil, as shared in this story published just yesterday? The Tea Party Examiner feels these tanks may soon be turned against Americans in a martial law scenario, with all the other facts coming together, such as Obama confiscating Apache attack helicopters from the National Guard to give to the US Army, as proven in the newly released videos below, show an American edging towards martial law and collapse. Are they correct in their martial law usage for these tanks against Americans? It says on March 18th, nearly 24 M1 Abrams tanks were loaded onto a train headed for the docks in Bremerhaven, Germany. They were then shipped to South Carolina, according to Stars and Stripes. I don't really have much to say on that one. E&E News. NHK Special. Extremely toxic water 4 million times government limit in trenches between Fukushima reactors and ocean. Experts say source of contamination for Pacific. Levels too high for them to get more precise look at the situation. Reporter plutonium leaked out after fuel rods damaged. NHK's Newsline Focus Inside Fukushima Daiichi, March 29th, 2014, a network of trenches runs between the reactor buildings and the shore. They are flooded with extremely radioactive water that's been trapped there since the triple meltdown. TEPCO data shows concentrations of cesium up to 4 million times above the government safety limit. Engineers estimate that the trenches hold about 15,000 tons of toxic water, but radiation levels are too high for them to get a more precise look at the situation. Some experts point out that these trenches are a source of contamination for the Pacific Ocean. TEPCO says there's no evidence of that yet, but it recognizes the need to act quickly. Freaking 4 million times above the limit. 4 million! And they're still not doing anything about it. We'll just let the water sit there. We'll just contaminate the entire ocean. Why not? Gizmodo. The high-tech soldiers of the future are here. I like this one. This is mainly just pictures. Those troops you saw in science fiction movies as a child are now real. A few years ago, many countries recognized a need to upgrade the individual infantrymen and thus started their own future soldier programs. Most of them completed more or less the main priority objectives, applying them to some of their elite troops and special forces, bringing together commercial, off-the-shelf technology and state-of-the-art military gear and equipment. More lethal assault rifles, upgraded weapon sights, modular gear, more effective head, body, and limb protection, cutting-edge network communication, computer, and navigation gadgets. Nowadays, these subsystems transform a common soldier into a high-tech warrior. USA Land Warrior. I'm just going to go through the pictures here just to quickly show you guys. It looks like Black Ops. So Black Ops. Future Soldier Black Ops. Honestly, I think they look pretty cool, but at the same time, they're fighting for, like, the wrong people. Anyways, you guys have a look through those photos. Collective Evolution, 2013, actually. This is an old one, but still interesting. WikiLeaks cables confirm existence of extraterrestrial life. We're already halfway through 2013 and the world continues to wake up to the fact that we're not alone in the universe. This year alone we've seen a tremendous step forward regarding UFO disclosure. In early May, researchers, activists, political leaders, and high-ranking military/agency personnel from around the world testified to the reality of UFO/extraterrestrial phenomenon in front of several former United States members of Congress. To watch an interview with the former 2008 presidential candidate and ex-congressman Mike Gravel, who participated in the hearings, click here. You can watch the interviews with all the senators that participated in the event here. Man, I believe in aliens. I don't care if you don't, but I do. And, well, I'm going to be, like, straight up with my belief. And they're coming, guys. I believe they're already here. We just can't see them. This one's interesting. Bible over 1,500 years that says Jesus was not crucified. Jesus is not coming back, says the Vatican. A Bible with over 1,500 years was discovered in Turkey and is of concern to the Vatican. That's because the Bible contains the Gospel of Barnabas, who was one of the disciples of Christ who traveled with the Apostle Paul, which maintains a vision of Islam similar to that of Jesus Christ. The book would have been discovered in 2000 and has been kept secret in the Ethnographic Museum in Ankara. The book, in fact, treated leather and written in a dialect of Aramaic, the language of Jesus Christ, has black pages due to the action of time. According to the reports, the experts evaluated the book and ensured that it is original. Religious authorities in Tehran insist that the text shows Jesus was not crucified, was not the Son of God, but a prophet, and called Paul the impostor. The book also says that Jesus ascended to heaven alive without being crucified, and Judas Iscariot would have been crucified in his place. Talk about the announcement that Jesus gave the coming of the prophet Muhammad, who would found Islam 700 years after Christ. The text provides for the arrival and the last Islamic Messiah, a fact that has not happened yet. Whether it's real or not, I mean, I like the photo, but you get a lot of Christian people that will argue that belief. They reckon, it's the Antichrist or it's the evil people trying to, like, say that the Bible isn't telling the right story. But in my belief, the Bible's been changed over history, and if you don't believe that, then honestly, in my opinion, you're kind of silly, because a book that's been that old, over 2,000 years, man, you think it's still going to be the exact same? Man, we've got a corrupt government controlling us. Alright, April 18th, Collective Evolution. NASA proposes spraying stratospheric aerosols into Earth's atmosphere. Check out that plane. Looks like another commercial jet. Look at the windows. It's really amazing how people are waking up to the fact that chemtrails are different from contrails. What was once considered a conspiracy to many is now a fact. Chemicals are constantly sprayed into our atmosphere and have been for quite some time now. I have been told since the 40s or the 60s. That's a long time. Not long ago, NASA personnel gave a lecture that was also streamed live at their Jet Propulsion Laboratory at the California Institute of Technology. It was a series of talks by scientists and engineers exploring the topic of geoengineering and climate intervention. Geoengineering is chemtrailing. Some of you might be thinking, geoengineering, what is that? Geoengineering encompasses strategies to combat and reduce the effects of global warming and climate change. Bullshit. It's the deliberate and large-scale intervention in the Earth's climatic system, and one of these methods, as illustrated in the lecture, is called solar radiation management, by spraying stratospheric aerosols into the atmosphere. The lecture outlines how SRM would require the equivalent of airplanes spraying aerosols in our atmosphere for decades. You can see this at approximately the 32-minute mark. It seems it's already happening. It says here, David Keith, Canadian environmental scientists. There might be some good reasons to think about aluminum. Aluminum has 4 times the volumetric rate for small particles, as does sulfur. That means you have roughly 16 times less the coagulation rate, and that's the thing that really drives removal. Man, you want to breathe in aluminum? That's how you get Alzheimer's, man. Annoys me. Tuesday, April 22nd, which is today. 3 Albuquerque Police Oversight Commissioners quit. Cannot continue to deceive community. April 18th, this was reported, Albuquerque, just days after the U.S. Department of Justice announced the results of an investigation into the Albuquerque Police Department, 3 members of the Police Oversight Commission are quitting. In their resignation letters to the mayor, Richard Berry, Richard Shine, Jennifer Barella, and Jonathan Siegel said they are resigning because the civilian commission has no teeth. The city attorney's office addressed the POC on April 10, 2014, and stated that we have no power to decide against the APD chief or against the independent review officer's findings regarding citizens' complaints. Reads Siegel's letter. I cannot continue to pretend or deceive the members of our community into believing that our city has any real civilian oversight. Climate progress. Who is this? April 16th. North Dakota finds itself unprepared to handle the radioactive burden of its fracking boom. Ooh, look at that. Looks nice. North Dakota recently discovered piles of garbage bags containing radioactive waste dumped by oil drillers in abandoned buildings. Now the state is trying to catch up to an oil industry that produces an estimated 27 tons of radioactive debris from wells daily. Existing fines have apparently not been enough to deter contractors from dumping oil socks, coil filters that strain wastewater and accumulate low levels of radiation. It says here, before the Bakken oil boom, we didn't have any of these materials being generated, the state's director of waste management, Scott Raddig, told the Wall Street Journal. So it wasn't really an issue. No, but all that radioactive waste, yeah, just that's not an issue. Or maybe I'm not getting the point. I don't care. They're dumping it everywhere, and they're fracking everywhere. They're gonna destroy the planet, idiots. IntelliHub News, April 15th. The Chinese are here to confiscate our guns. I hope this is in Australia. In part 3 of this series on the Bundy affair and what it reveals about the intentions of the Chinese military, we look at the fact that Chinese solar energy zones are located adjacent to an American military base. We examine the ramifications for this placement, and the reader can rest assured that this is no coincidence. As thousands of sheriffs, militia members, and state legislators rush to the aid of Clive and Bundy, plans are already in place to limit any citizen uprising. We know that the feds recorded license plates and engaged in facial recognition of the people on the scene who were actively supporting Clive and Bundy. This is a very disturbing development when one considers that Obama has not been proposing preventative and prolonged detention. Wait. Sorry, I think I misread that. This is a very disturbing development when one considers that Obama has been proposing preventative and prolonged detention, i.e. pre-crime, for people who might pose a future threat. This is the justification for the usage of the FEMA camps. I find it funny. I've actually just shared something on Facebook. There's like 50,000 odd people heading to the Bundy Ranch apparently to help support their militias. I'm not sure where those people come. I'll see if I can chuck the link in here. I'll grab it before I end the video. What the hell? Go away. Research facility loses thousands of tubes containing a deadly virus. April 17th. A French research institute working on various deadly viruses, including SARS, has apparently misplaced thousands of tubes and no one is quite sure where they went. A routine inventory check at Paris Pasteur Institute revealed that 2,349 tubes containing fragments of the virus responsible for the deaths of 774 people in 2002 were missing. The center, named after French chemist Louis Pasteur, said, "It is not clear how the tubes disappeared from one of the institute's safest laboratories. Management were made aware of the loss in January," Le Monde newspaper reported. It's one of the institute's safest laboratories, and they have deadly viruses. 2,349 tubes of deadly viruses. Oh, just go missing. How lovely. Doesn't that make you feel safe? City of Boston now a police state on permanent surveillance lockdown. Oh man. In a pattern that is being repeated in major cities all across America, hyper-invasive monitoring systems powered by artificial intelligence are going up under the pretext of keeping the people safe from future terror attacks. The campaign of fear currently being waged, not by terrorists, but by the United States federal government, has us convinced that the only way to stay safe is to relinquish our freedoms. All of them. That's something the Americans are not doing it at a sickening, astonishing rate. It says here, Boston. Following the Boston Marathon bombings almost 1 year ago, the Boston Police Department started looking toward more high-tech means of securing the city against future attacks. They found the solution in the form of an artificially intelligent, self-learning surveillance network that now watches the entire city and all of its inhabitants. BRS Labs Chief Science Officer Wesley Cobb said in an IT Pro Portal report, "Our system will figure out things you never thought of looking for." Man. Police state. Friday, April 18th, 2014. USAID top scientist. For the first time, food production will be limited on a global scale. U.S. Agency for International Development is a government body in charge of distributing taxpayer dollars to foreign projects that will theoretically bring humanitarian aid to struggling regions. No matter what one might think about the nobility of such a mission, the agency has been much maligned for its decades-long mismanagement and outright theft of those funds, as well as being in a direct or indirect position to enable the use of food as a weapon. Nevertheless, and perhaps because of such activities, USAID is well aware of the economic trends they need to address and or manage, so when their top science advisor speaks, it is essential to hear what he is saying. Disregarding any overarching agenda, let's see what's in store for the global food supply, according to Dr. Fred Davies, advisor of the Bureau of Food Security in Texas A&M Agri-Life Regents, professor of horticultural sciences. There's some prices. Things are going up, guys. Limited on a global scale. News Daily. Fish found with mercury in remote western regions. Thursday, April 17th. Federal scientists have found high amounts of mercury in sport fish caught in remote areas of national parks in the West and Alaska, according to a study released Thursday. Researchers for the U.S. Geological Survey and National Park Service said that most fish they caught had acceptable levels of mercury, but 4% exceeded healthy levels. Mercury occurs naturally, but scientists say its presence in national parks, which are supposed to leave wildlife unimpaired for future generations, was cause for concern. I have to say one thing on this. Another guy I'm subscribed to on YouTube actually brought this to my attention, and he was saying that it was a report. I've still got to find the link. That was apparently these fish that have the mercury found in them came from a water area or a water pond or water lake or whatever in Yellowstone National Park. So you wonder why they got mercury in them. Yes, it is naturally occurring, but rising, just like Yellowstone is. And apparently these fish that it's saying here, they were the ones in this other report in Yellowstone National Park. It does say national parks here. They're just not telling you which one. Apparently those fish are there. How about that? Before its news, military helicopters, Russians sighted in Montana. Reader email and photo proof. Via a reader email which will be shown below, we have more evidence of unusual military activity and more sightings and witness accounts of Russians in Montana. The photos the reader sent in as proof will be shown below the video. Actually, I haven't even seen this, so I'm just going to play it.
Hello, it's April 17th, 2014. Just received an email from a reader, a Before It's News reader, and the subject line is military helicopters in northwest Montana. The email starts, I was reading stories on beforeitsnews.com and I heard helicopters flying over my house. I live by the city airport in Kalispell, Montana, so those noises don't normally bother me, but I knew they were military before I saw them. I grabbed my cell phone and ran outside, and sure enough they were. They were following each other. First helicopter was what looked like a CH-47 Chinook or a CH-46 Sea Knight. The second helicopter, shown in the picture I just changed over to, was definitely an Apache. This is the third time this year I have seen military aircraft in the area. Here is photographic proof for people who still have blinders on and think we still live in a free and wonderful country. Come together, USA. Now, we followed up for permission to use the pictures, and the reader gave permission, but added another little tidbit that's odd. My friend has a family member who's been out fishing, and while fishing, he ran into some Russians that offered him money for the fish that he caught. Now, if you'll remember, anybody who has been reading these stories and keeping up with this, in March of 2014, there was another reader email, and they warned that Russian troops are everywhere. You can see by this story that Before It's News received following email from a retired American military officer who has agreed to identify himself as F.C. Hawkins. We've been requested to republish this email in full. According to S.F.C. Hawkins, he served in the Army from 97 to 01. After he got out of the Army, he had a meeting in the Pentagon, after which he became a civilian contractor for the military, traveling to different states, training defense contractors for the next several years. With a top-secret security clearance, he put two and two together to realize what he was really training these contractors for, so he decided he no longer wanted to be part of their crazy plans. He has since moved out to Montana, where he met plenty of other veterans and Americans who are wide awake and prepared to defend our once great nation once again. Now, I'll go ahead and put a link to this.
Well, there you go. A little bit of extra information I didn't even know there. But how about that? US ground troops going to Poland. Defense minister says, we are changed. This guy is dope. You should get on his page. Watch his YouTube videos. This reporter is absolutely awesome. I gotta say, I gotta give it to him. He's a mad reporter. He really does get the good news. Posted April 20th, 2014. Poland and the United States will announce next week the deployment of US ground forces to Poland as part of an expansion of NATO presence in Central and Eastern Europe in response to events in Ukraine. That was the word from Poland's Defense Minister Tomasz Siemoniak, who visited the post Friday after meeting with Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel at the Pentagon on Thursday. Siemoniak said the decision has been made on a political level and that military planners are working out details. There will also be intensified cooperation in air defense, special forces, cyber defense, and other areas. Poland will play a leading regional role under US patronage, he said. Add more troops in there. Yeah, we're going for a war. Voice of Russia, 19th of April. Unlike Chernobyl, Fukushima was never brought under control. Radiation spreads across the world. This is epidemiologist. A manager of the crippled Fukushima nuclear plant, Akira Ono, has admitted that the nuclear disaster handlers are not in full control of the cleanup process. Ono's announcement added to the incessant concerns that the plant's operator, Tokyo Electric Power Company, or TEPCO, has been failing to tackle the numerous problems at the station. Last week, the plant saw another blunder when 203 tons of highly contaminated water were pumped into the wrong building. The Voice of Russia has asked Joseph Mangano, epidemiologist and executive director of Radiation and Public Health Project Research Group, about the risks from the Fukushima fallout. I told you guys are not doing anything about it, and fuck me, it's right there in front of your face. Oh man, I just seen this one today actually. Over 100,000 people found living for decades inside a horrifying cage city. Hong Kong is ranked among the world's most expensive cities to live in. For those who can't afford it, life is nothing short of glamorous. If you can't, you'll live the rest of your life like an animal inside a cold steel cage. That looks lovely. Man. This is China, bro. This is China. Look at these guys. Man, they'd be so... The Hong Kong government has caged homes categorized as bed space apartments, and they are legal housing. The average cost is about $150 a month. Would you pay $150 a month for that? Where's the frickin' toilet? Where's your kitchen? Look at these guys. Smashed together, man. Tenants wear long sleeves when sleeping to lessen the bites of mice and fleas. There is no cooking available in caged homes. Takeout food is the only option. Needless to say, these aren't health spas. Man. Like another guy said that I got this information from, it makes you really appreciate where you live. I know I am. Man, I already reported that one. My bad. Go away. This one is very interesting. I was, go have a look at it. CEO turned whistleblower exposes big pharma corruption. Dr. John Regan Varapin, my bad, I don't know his name, worked 35 years for Eli Lilly & Co. as an executive. He now speaks out on the many crimes Big Pharma was and is responsible for, and he himself also participated in. Unfortunately, many of its crimes go past public awareness as it enjoys the unethical protection from its big allies, the mainstream media, the FDA, and governments. And there's some videos there for you guys to watch. Man, don't go to Big Pharma. Don't go to any pharmaceutical for anything. Get on the internet and look up yourself some natural medicines or natural cures. That's the way to go. You don't need lab-made drugs to try and fix you when all they're doing is, destroying your body. And I'll keep saying that. But, yeah. That's all my news for today. Hopefully it wasn't too long, and, yeah, I'll be back up with another one soon. Cheers for watching, guys. Hit the like button if you want. Share my videos. I really don't care. As long as you guys see it, I'm happy. Catch you, dudes.